I will say that for other team members, there was a sense of being scared or being a little bit hesitant of the changes that were happening. There was also a part of the feeling that was exciting, right? And it was new and fun. So the biggest surprise has been how much strategy and storytelling still come down to understanding people.
I'm Dr. Scott Law, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Smile Doctors Off Mute podcast. Welcome to the Smile Doctors Off Mute podcast. As a leader in orthodontics, part of our mission for this podcast has been to make everyone in orthodontics better. So in all aspects, from clinical to business and beyond, we want people to grow, people to do more. And one of the ways that we're branching out in this way is to look at some of the subjects that we know you're always thinking about, that you're interested in, and kind of introduce some of the professionals inside of our organization to help you to see some of the latest and greatest things that they're doing and offer some actionable insights. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We hope that you get more than just a few meaty takeaways, but you meet some of our exceptional people and really see who makes us better and makes us grow and all those incredible people inside of this industry. So in our first episode along those lines, we'll tackle social media and a topic that kind of brings up all sorts of emotions around that. So some people love it, some people hate it, good, bad, but we know that it's not going away anytime soon. So socials never stand still, and neither do we. So we have some news to share along that front and some things that will be helpful, we hope. And for me, what's really exciting, though, is to learn about who this guest is and who they are in their life and the difference that they make and what's in their heart. And so I would like to, again, welcome you to the Smile Doctors Off Mute podcast. And our guest today is Justin Challender. So Justin, I'm really excited to hear from you. I know many of our guests are and are going to learn a ton. But before we jump into kind of the socials aspect, tell us a little bit, how did you get started in ortho?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on. I'm really, really excited to be here as well. So thank you for the opportunity. It's a bit of a long story for me, but it's a great story, and it's led me to where I am now and who I am now. So as many young people do, I went to college straight out of high school, and I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I had this grand idea of becoming a professional singer at one point, maybe even the president of the United States, but that didn't really fit into what most colleges offer, I would say. So eventually I ended up transitioning into business, which I love, and I continued business, and that's kind of where I graduated from. But with that being said, I was a college student that was broke, didn't have money, and I needed a job in order to support me and to further what I wanted to do in life. And so I did a lot of things, Dr. Law. I went from a telecommunications supervisor to a part-time sushi chef to singing competitions every weekend for the prizes. I did it all, really, whatever I could to make money at the time is really what I was focused on. But one job that I really, really, really enjoyed was serving at a restaurant. And I think it all boils down to people and serving people, because I got to meet all kinds of people from all different kinds of backgrounds, but I also got to be myself, sometimes a little overly bubbly, right? But somebody that is that loves to connect with other people. And it was an opportunity for me to learn people, to learn their personalities, what they like, what they don't like, and really how they also interact with others around them. And so this is the time that I started to realize, I think, that I love people in general. And this is also the time that I really came out of my shell and started to be confident in who I was as a person to other people. And so people are great and people are important, and serving them was incredibly rewarding to me. So I said all of that to say that I served a few years and I absolutely loved it. One day, a group of people came in on a normal, slow morning, and I remember feeling a bit underwhelmed, a little bit bored that day. And after interacting with them a few times, and at some point during their meal, the head guy of the table called me over to chat. He says, "Hey, Justin, come over and chat with me for a minute." And he was talking to me about my goals in life and telling me how incredibly impressed he was with my personality. And he said these exact words. He said, "We need somebody exactly like you in our office." And me having no idea what office he was talking about, I decided to ask a little bit more. So he introduced himself finally as Dr. So-and-so, and that he was the owner dentist for a pediatric dentistry right down the street from my job. And to be honest with you, I had never thought about working in dentistry, but I do remember loving my dentist as a child and completely hating my medical doctor. I did not like going to the doctor, but absolutely loved going to the dentist for the prizes, the treasure box, the feeling that it made me feel when I came out of the dental office, right? And I felt like I was a little bit better than other children. Other children didn't like to go to the dentist, and so he told me I was a well-behaved patient. I loved it, right? So, I loved the dentist. So I figured, I also love the idea of a great smile and what it does for people. Coming from a low-income sort of rural community, I understand the impact that a great smile can have on someone's life. I believe that everybody deserves a smile they're proud of, and even if it's not a perfect smile, right? But eventually through this conversation, he offered me an interview. And the next week I showed up and I still had no idea what the interview was for. I had no idea what I was doing, but courageously I went to this unknown interview, and the rest is sort of history. The nicest way of saying it is he definitely put me to work in the amazing profession that we call dental assisting. And he basically taught me everything that I needed to know over the course of several months. But that leads me to this. Pediatrics is kind of hard. It takes a very special person, and it's a special type of person to thrive in that type of environment. And so I kept trying other things within the dental field, right? I worked for a general dentist, a couple general dentists. I also got into into oral surgery for a little bit. But it eventually led me to some of the other specialties I didn't know about in dentistry, and I decided to try orthodontics. I fell in love the moment I realized there would be no more blood or passed out patients or anything. Patients? Yeah. The biggest thing that we had to deal with was maybe some rubber bands flying in the air, right? Yep. But no, in all seriousness, I fell in love with ortho because at the time the profession afforded us to be able to build relationships with people that are in our chairs, but also because of the excitement that you see coming from a teenager or an adult who's getting their orthodontics for the first time, getting their braces off, getting their Invisalign aligners off. And it's a life-changing moment, right? And so it's a little bit different than seeing a kid come in for a cavity versus a kid coming in to get their braces off that's getting ready to change their life, start their life from that point on. So
that's huge. I love that too. That's my favorite part of orthodontics is to see the change in people and all of that. That's amazing. Okay, so before we go any further, I think I think everybody should serve. Everybody should serve tables so that you know how to treat a server first of all and how difficult it is. That's number one. And then I think you learn just a ton about people that way. And there's a whole lot more grace all the way around. But before we go any further, I have to ask, so what's your go-to song? What did you sing in your competitions?
Oh, goodness. Well, I love soul music and I love R&B. And so I'm more of a soul singer. I love artists like Whitney Houston, Jennifer Hudson, Jessie J, some really powerhouses out there. So those are kind of the songs that I go to. Maybe I'll say At Last by Etta James. Another one could be Purple Rain by Prince is a big one for me.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so I love to sing karaoke. I'll sing in the choir on occasion, but we need to do a talent show or a karaoke something at the next doctor meeting.
Little duet,
I don't know about that. I don't know if I can hang with you, but I certainly could give it a good try. So that would be awesome.
For sure.
All right. So back to the ortho. So who was the orthodontist you were with when you came on to Smile Doctors?
Yeah, well, I actually worked in a couple different private practices before it actually led me to Smile Doctors. But when I found Smile Doctors, I must tell you really quickly, Dr. Law, that it was a total game changer. Just walking from the moment that I walked into the practice for the interview, it was life changing, and I knew I had to be there. This was the place for me to be. So the great thing is I have I'm really proud to say that I worked under Dr. Zwick, who is now our and who is now our chief clinical director. He's our clinical director of business development. And I joined his practice just when they were first transitioning from Trio Orthodontics to Smile Doctors Orthodontics. So the dust hadn't really settled completely yet.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
But he's my first orthodontist, and I was proud to say that he's the first. We kind of like grew up together in the support side of things together.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, so you have been with Smile Doctors for quite some time. How was it as a team member? How was it when you first got the news that you were going to go quote corporate or whatever? I know there was Trio, so that was a little bit of kind of a corporate outfit, but to go to Smile Doctors, how was that for you?
Yeah, so coming from a private practice, I didn't really know what to expect from the corporate side of things yet. But I will say that for other team members, there was a sense of being scared or being a little bit hesitant of the changes that were happening. But I will also say that there was also a part of the feeling that was exciting, right? And it was new and fun. And, there were tools and resources that we were going to have at our disposal that we didn't have before. And that was so important to us as a practice to continue to grow and to stand out in the community, I would say. Allowing the doctor to really focus on being the doctor was a game changer. So
of all your time in the chair, what's one of your funniest stories that you laugh about with a patient experience or maybe an interaction with the doctor? What's one you can recall and share?
Oh, goodness. I have to take it back to social media because that's really what it is. When I first started working with the practice, the local team with social media, I said, there's really a huge opportunity here to connect with our audiences, from this local level side of things. I think that I was trying to find ways to involve the doctor in content because the doctor's the doctor, right? They don't always have time to be involved. They don't have the ideas. They don't always have the brain power to come up with something new. And so I was trying to find my how I can get this doctor involved. And I found a piece of content that was just really, really simple where the doctor just basically had to move his head and look surprised. And the team members had to do a little bit more of the work. But I think we talk about it all the time because it was so successful and it was so funny that the doctor just literally had to go, turn their head. And it was our most successful video. Over 1 million views for this specific video. And and it was something so simple that the doctor could be involved with. But we know the doctor was the star of the show. And we know the doctor, that the audience wanted to see the doctor involved. And so that's just a story that I always tell because it's really, really easy for us to find ways to dive into content and incorporate our doctors, our team members, and things like that to make it really, truly authentic.
That's great. That's great. I hope we can share that one right here, and so everybody can see it. That'd be super cool.
Hey, Mufasa. Oh my God! You better kill it. You better kill it. Show me something.
So what was it like to go from posting and kind of doing the socials for a single location or for those 3 locations to kind of now leading strategy for a national brand?
Yeah.
How's that been?
So the biggest surprise has been how much strategy and storytelling still come down to understanding people. No matter the scale, right? Small or large. When I was posting for one location, I had an intimate understanding of the community, the doctors, the patients, right? The team. So I assumed that moving to a national level would mean things would just get more corporate or more distance from that human element. But the truth is, success still depends on creating content that feels personal, relevant, and truly emotionally resonant. It's just multiplied across multiple markets, really. So what's changed is the complexity, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I think a lot of doctors think that too. Once they join Smile Doctors, they think that it's going to be, okay, somebody's going to do I don't know, they think they can offload the relationships in this way. But in reality, it's like, no, what this does is frees you up to dive in even deeper with relationships with your communities, with your general dentist, with the parents, with the patients, in all of it. That's it. This is a relationship business. And so, yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all that that's it. It is more complex. It is more difficult for you to go, how can we reach that one, show who we are across the national brand? Yeah, I tip my hat to you. It's not easy to do, and you do a great job.
Yeah, I've definitely had to think bigger, right, Dr. Law? Plan further ahead, I would say, and trust others sometimes to sort of bring the brand to life in their own way. But that shift from being a doer to more of being a strategist and a guide has pushed me to grow in ways that I didn't expect. And I love that challenge, and I'm always up for the next challenge. So
I love it. I love it because exactly what you're saying is the story of growth for any position, for doctors as well. To think strategically about their business, about their practice, about their treatment planning, about how to take care of patients a better way. So it just mirrors exactly with what you're doing. I love it. Thank you.
absolutely.
That's awesome. So you spent time in the chair from peds to GP to oral surgery to ortho. How has that background of the patient interaction, that being in the mouth, being chair side, really influenced about how you do content today?
Oh, goodness. So, I mean, my time in the clinic was foundational. It fundamentally shaped the way I approach content today. It gave me a deep understanding of the people behind the brand, the patients, the families, as I talked about, and the team members who make experiences so memorable. I didn't just learn the services we offer. I saw how it felt to go through treatment. The nervous energy during the first visit, the excitement when the aligners arrived, the huge emotional payoff after that final, braces off after Smile. Being in that environment, I think, gave me that people first mindset. Today, I constantly ask, will this content resonate with real people that are in our chairs, right? Will it make a team member feel proud of the role that they play in our patients' lives? I think about tone, I think about relatability, and the real questions or concerns that patients have, not just what they want to say as a brand. It also taught me to look for content in every day. Some of the most impactful stories don't come from professional shoots. They come from a team member capturing a spontaneous moment, or a patient sharing a small but meaningful part of their journey, their Smile journey, right? That experience, I feel like, grounded me in the importance of authenticity, and it continues to influence how I build strategy today.
Absolutely. It feels to me some offices are always looking to make the next viral video, and it doesn't work. It falls flat. It doesn't show who they are whatsoever. And to your point, I think it is in those small moments to show genuinely who you are, and our interactions daily. Although it might be routine for us, it's special. It's what makes it different. I love it. Great. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you'll hear a lot in our world that, make me a viral video, make me something that, do something that's really off the charts or amazing. And that's not how it works, right? Ensuring our content doesn't just look good, but it actually connects with the audience is most important.
That's it. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so without giving away any secrets, what's one project, initiative, something that you're really proud of that you've done inside of Smile Doctors?
Oh, I am very, very excited to talk about this one. One project I am especially proud of is building and growing our content creator program. What started as a small kind of scrappy idea to connect with like real patients and creators has truly evolved into a scalable initiative that supports our local teams, our brand, generates authentic content and boosts awareness for both those brands, those local teams, and the products that we offer, right? What makes me proud isn't just the reach or the results, it's that we've kept it real. We've kept it 100% real. The creators are genuine. They're genuinely going through treatment. They're sharing their stories in their own voices, and the content that they produce really, truly resonates with our audience in a way that traditional marketing or traditional content just can't replicate, right?
Yep.
And it's been a great example of also doing more with less.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool. I hope we can show a few of those things right here on the screen. Would be super cool to be able to showcase all of that work. I think it's phenomenal what you and the team have done. It's fantastic. So it's no secret that Meta has rolled out some changes, and it's very different today. It'll probably be very different in who knows when the next time they roll out changes, when they decide to. What do practices really need to pay attention to right now?
Yeah, we love Meta, right? Everybody says that.
Yeah.
We love Meta. Today, it's not so much about rapid changes or big improvements overnight in the social space, especially on the Meta platforms. It's more so of some of the changes that have been happening over the last 6 months, over the last year, right? Today, I think it's important to discuss the fact that Meta and other platforms are always trying to evolve and find a better way to push content to users and audiences.
Okay.
If we stay stagnant, we can't challenge brands and creators to connect on an even deeper level with their audiences, especially their target audiences. With that, creators, brands, more specifically for us, practices, will also need to evolve their content and their approach to be prioritized in the social in people's social feeds. So one thing to understand that is that Meta has completely revamped the way they think of certain metrics, right? And the way that people leverage those metrics. As you know, video content has become very popular on most platforms because of the ability to see further into whatever the user is searching or whatever the user is viewing. Before the heavy up on video, the consumer was basically responsible for viewing the content, digesting the content, researching further into the content before they really make that sort of purchase decision, right? Which causes the consumer to fall off over time and not really convert fully. Now with video, the brands can have more context, provide more context, more preview, more understanding of what's actually being displayed, what's actually being offered, and why the consumer should consume it. So Meta's basically saying, how do we make it easier for brands, creators, products, and in this case, our practices to understand how their audiences receive that content. And in turn, by making these adjustments, it really forces us to create better content as well. I think I kind of answered that, a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, would be a small example of like changing things or tweaking things.
Sure. So one of the things that's important right now is to understand is that we're no longer looking at all these different metrics when it comes to profile impressions, post reach, profile reach, all these different metrics that really you have to kind of bring all these things together to really understand the bigger picture. Now we've converted over to one simple understanding of what a metric, an important metric is, which is views. How many people are viewing your content, whether it's a follower or a non-follower, right? And so with that, things have shifted to have more of an emphasis on being authentic, creating original content that really sparks two main things, true engagement and shareability. So does this content resonate with our audience? And does our audience want to share this content? Does the audience want to engage with this content? And I think that's the most important thing that we're shifting towards.
Love it. So with all these changes, it feels like sometimes the updates are mean both business as usual as well as everything's changing. Like what can practices actually do with this information? Let's say there's practices outside of Smile Doctors. What would they do?
Yeah, well, first practices should keep focusing on consistency and cohesiveness. Regular posting is important because it signals to the algorithm that we're active and that we're worth showing, right? But it's not just about quantity. Quality and purpose matter more than anything. And so consistency plays a part in that quality, right, that we're talking about. Posting with intention, thinking about what your audience really truly cares about will always pay off compared to just posting to post, basically. So again, where things have shifted, authenticity, original content that sparks engagement and shareability. Those are going to be the most important things.
Right. So that's for practices outside of Smile Doctors. For those that are inside, what's the difference?
Yeah.
What advantages do practices inside have working with you, the team? Like how does it make life easier?
Our team is able to provide support that is much greater than what maybe a private practice is maybe used to. Maybe a practice that's outside of Smile Doctors is used to. A lot of times they may feel like they're on their own, and they're unsure of how to navigate, especially the social media space. And so for our practices, it's really cool because they get the benefit of an entire team behind them to provide them with, ideas, strategy, all these great things that can help them be better as a practice. For practices that are just, starting out, even within our network, I think that we should focus on building that strong foundation with consistent posting. And then some of those more seasoned practices, that already have sort of that consistency down and things like that, they really need to start doubling down on providing, and producing that original content, creating that original content that really resonates with the audience.
Love it. Does all this responsibility fall on the doctor, or how does it work within Smile Doctors?
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily always fall on the doctor, right? The team is a huge help.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah, the doctor doesn't have to, post on social media every single day. They're not the ones who, are engaging on an every single minute basis. We have a whole team behind them, a whole team of people behind them that support them, right? That are capturing content, that are posting the content, that are scheduling the content, that are bringing ideas to the table. But we also do have doctors within our network that are super involved in social media, and they find the time to be able to do that. And that's successful as well. So I think the biggest benefit is that we have an entire team behind you to help push you and drive you to the next level.
Yeah, love it. So your ultimate goal with marketing and on socials, what is that?
My ultimate goal, it's really, I think, for Smile Doctors, it's to show the importance of social media, right? Marketing is such a big thing for a lot of brands, and we oftentimes forget that people like to search on social media nowadays more than they do on the website or on Google, right? And so I think for us as a brand, my wish is that I can show social media in a little bit of a different light. Social media is the forefront of marketing, and it is the place where people go to consume information and to make their first decision about purchasing a certain product or service. So that's the first thing. Outside of Smile Doctors, I think I'm not really sure. I don't really know what I want to do outside of Smile Doctors, because I just absolutely love where I'm at and what I'm doing, and I couldn't see it any different. So,
love it. Okay, so if I'm watching this and I want to go and see examples of offices or doctors that are doing this really well, what are some that you're most proud of?
Yeah, so I think let's take Amanda Gallagher Orthodontics in Maryland, and let's take Lineberger Orthodontics that's in North Carolina, right? Both have a really unique brand voice that allow them for engagement to thrive. But they also, are quite different in their styles. They're quite different in their voices. Amanda Gallagher is more of a storyteller, an educator, an explainer, someone who provides super relevant information but still has fun doing it. Whereas Dr. Matt at Lineberger Orthodontics has a fun, unique way of connecting with his audience by being quirky, sometimes weird, but honestly more relatable in some ways than a typical polished brand would do. So I recommend obviously looking at Amanda Gallagher Orthodontics, Lineberger Orthodontics, and truly looking at what direction they've decided to go in with their brand voice and how they connect with their audience in a very authentic way. They're super successful on social media. They have a great following, but even more importantly than their awesome following, they have a great engagement. Their audience is tapped in. Their audience wants to connect with them, whether it's a behind-the-scenes moment of a team member and a patient, or whether it's Dr. Matt and his family at the beach, right? People care about those real human-centered stories.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the things that most differentiates us as practices, as Smile Doctors, is our unique culture, and it's what patients want to come in for. And when they can, to your point, I think when they can experience that through social media to go, oh, this is the way they interact with others. This is what I'm going to expect when I'm in the chair, when I'm getting my ortho at this location. This is what I'm going to have. This is the relationship that I seek with my doctor. I love it. So yes, that natural extension of who they really are is what we're all trying to portray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the next viral video.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important to touch on as well, some way, somehow, that the great thing about Smile Doctors is not that is that it's not such a corporate vibe or feel, that we are providing all the content to you. We're not telling you exactly what to do. We're not telling you how to be successful on social media. We're giving you the tools and the resources to support you to be yourself on social media. And that's why our practices have seen success in this space, is because we support them, but still allow them to be authentic and connect with the audience and the local community that they're in, right? Versus an overall national kind of idea.
Yeah. Just kind of make their voice be heard. Yeah, just in a better way. Just using all our back end tips and tricks. I love that.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Let's see. Let's get some other fun questions that we have. Justin, what is your idea of perfect happiness?
My idea of perfect happiness is feeling fulfilled and at peace, doing meaningful work that really aligns with my values as a person, being surrounded by people that I love and people that love me, and having the freedom to enjoy some of those small moments, whether it's a quiet morning, traveling somewhere new. I love to travel, or laughing with friends. It's not about perfection, but it's about being present, grateful, and connected. And I think that's what I'm learning right now in my life, is really truly how to be present in the moment versus always thinking about what's next and what I got to do next and how to move on to the next thing.
I love that. For me, it was along those same lines. A quote hit me really hard, is that every man has two lives. And the second begins when he realizes he only has one. And so, yes, I think kind of when you come to that understanding, you do cherish those moments of being present and being in the now right now. So that's
absolutely
awesome. Let's see. So what's your greatest fear?
Oh, my greatest fear has to be becoming stagnant. Personally or professionally, we talk about both of those worlds, but I never want to stop growing. I never want to stop learning or evolving. That's when I become a little bit nervous. The idea of becoming too comfortable or complacent pushes me to keep challenging myself, taking risks and staying curious. I always say, and I tell my team members this too here at Smile Doctors, that change energizes us. And that sounds crazy, right? How could change energize us, right? How could something being different make us feel even more comfortable? But it's true. Change is hard in the beginning, but how many times have you ever found it to be a blessing in disguise, right? Thankful that I went through this. Thankful that we're making this change, because we're always just going to get better and better.
That's fantastic. Great. Okay, so you talked about your team. What are you and your team known for?
We're probably known for mostly bringing strategy and creativity together in a way that feels real. Whether it's a national campaign or a local piece of content, we focus on making things that actually connect with people, and I think that's what sets us apart. Nothing overly polished, nothing overly too performative. We love finding the human angle in things, the little moments that make someone smile or think, hey, that's me, right? But we're also known for being ridiculously collaborative. We don't just hand off ideas and say, hey, it's your turn to do things, but we build them together with the teams that we work with and the people that we work with. And honestly, we keep things fun in the meantime. We work hard. We care deeply about what we're putting into the world, and we don't take ourselves too seriously in the process.
Wow. I love it. That's a phenomenal answer. Justin, I am so happy for the path that you took from business to then jumping into the dentistry field to landing in ortho, which is the greatest ever, and all of the qualities and experiences that you bring to make us better. I really do feel, oh man, we have such an advantage here at Smile Doctors. I feel sorry for others that don't have people exactly like you in their corner, working for them and working with them, and really just pushing our practices forward so that we can be better doctors, better connectors, and share relationships with more people. So just the work you're doing is awesome, and I appreciate you and your team so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much.
Yeah, this has been great getting to know you, and I hope people learn a little bit here and take it out and are even more authentic with how they're posting and interacting with people. Thank you.
I agree. Do you have a fish tank?